Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakhatvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. So now we are looking at the Brahman. Brahman alone is, because everything is nothing but Brahman, and it is of the nature of Paramam, Supreme, Sat Swarupam, Advitiyam, Vishuddham, Vijnana Ghanam, Niranjanam, and Prashantam, Adyanta Vihinam. There is no beginning for end also. I mean, that which is infinite cannot have a beginning and end also. So the whole world has, everything has a beginning and end, and therefore it is not of this type. That which is any changing and which is changeless alone is the real, and that's what is essentially being emphasized. When Krishna teaches, he says, the avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidhanam eva tatraka paridevana. So why are you crying? Because it was not there before, and it's not going to be there in the future also. Continuously changing, and it seems to have only appearance in the middle, and that which is appearing, and there should not be reason for you to cry. In fact, Gaudapada says, Ado ante nasti vartamanopi tattadha. Ado ante nasti. What was there not in the before, and what is there in the end, also even now also it is not there only. You may see it, but that's your delusion only, that you are seeing, paying attention to some kind of form and taking it as a real. So ado ante nasti vartamanepi, even in the vartaman, even now also it's not there. So looking at a pot, says it was not there before the pot came into existence, and it may not be there in the future also. And now, even now, while looking at the pot and using the pot, I say there is no really pot there. What is there is only clay was there before, even now it is a clay only, it will be clay only later. So therefore, paying attention to the name and form is okay for transaction purposes, but taking it as a real and suffering the consequence of that misunderstanding is a problem. So there is a discussion in terms of also the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, or the Swarupa Lakshanas, or is it really attributes also? We'll go into that here. So Adyanta Vihinam Akriyam, and therefore no activities at all. Brahman cannot undergo any modifications, and even a realized soul, Jivan Mukta, also will understand that I am never a doer, because I am being Brahman. That means Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. Knower of Brahman becomes a Brahman. Knower of any object doesn't become that object. If I know it is a chair, I don't become a chair, but I know a chair. So in any object knowledge, any objective knowledge also, if I know chemistry, it will be chemistry still there, but I am separate. I am a knower separate from the known. That's what essentially, but here is a statement by the scripture itself, Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. Knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. And therefore, what is there now? Why? Because the knower of Brahman is Aham Brahmasmi. That is the knowledge. I am Brahman. So knower of Brahman becomes Brahman is a recognition or reanalyzation of the system, and understand and claim, actually I am Brahman. Not that I am going to become a Brahman. I cannot become a Brahman. Nothing can become into infinity unless I am already infinity, but I take myself, I am a finite entity, and suffer the consequence of that misunderstanding. Now I understand correctly that I am Brahman. What I am looking for? Not even Brahman. I am looking for Ananda Swarupam, Anandam only. I am looking for happiness. Now I am looking for not only temporary happiness, because I am going after other objects until I am fully satisfied, and I am not satisfied with the finite things. Therefore I am longing for infinite only, but I cannot get infinite, and also Anandam doesn't come from outside. that also be recognized. Anandam is my own nature, and therefore no activity is required, because action is only for a finite person, finite entity, and also for the limited, within the limitations where karma, kriya and karta are different. But in the Brahman, there is no karta, karma, kriya of differentiation, and therefore it is aham brahmasmi means aham, not a kriya, not a karta. Akartaham, abhoktaham, ahamevaham avyeha. So I had to recognize that asangoham, asangoham, asangoham punah punaha, sachidananda rupoham, ahamevaham avyeha. This is the Brahmananda Valli. Shankaracharya glorifies that, say, I am that, because that is the nature of my own nature. So, Nirantarananda Rasaswarupam. So, inexhaustible happiness rasam, ananda rasam, the essence of ananda is my swarupam, my own nature, my real nature. That's called swarupa lakshanam. So it is the satyam jnanam anantam or satchidanandam is a swarupa lakshanam. Swarupa lakshanam is intrinsic nature of it. It's not attribute of an object, but it is intrinsic nature itself. Its nature is existence, and that existence is a consciousness, and being limitless, it is ananda swarupam. And what is a swarupa lakshanam? And Shankaracharya discusses, says they are swarupa lakshanam because anantatvat. He just says anantatvat. Because they are infinite. Infinite cannot have other attributes. It's only the intrinsic nature only. It cannot have the Sat as an attribute of the Brahman. So the Chit is not attribute of Brahman, and also the Ananda is not attribute of Brahman. It is its own nature itself. Because limitless alone is Anantam, and limitless alone is Anandam. If any limitations causes suffering, therefore, Swarupa Lakshanam just provided that because whatever is a necessary and sufficient qualification, we call it a Swarupa. Mathematically, anything that is necessary and sufficient to define that's called Swarupam. And the example I gave is the sugar of sugar and sweetness. Sweetness is a sugar is a the sweetness is a necessary for it to be sugar. If it is salty, even though it may look like sugar, it's it's not sugar. Therefore, for it to be sugar, it is necessary that it has to be sweet. But that's not a sufficient qualification, because for sufficiency, the mathematics demand that a converse should be also applicable. That means if it is sweet, it has to be sugar only and nothing else. And that is not applied, because it can be sweet but need not be sugar. It can be, we have other things, glucose, fructose, and also artificial sweeteners. Therefore, it need not be sugar. So the sweetness is not a swarupa lakshanam of the sugar. Swarupa means then converse also has to be applicable. If Reddy say, it has to be that only. So what is swarupa lakshanam of the sugar? Its swarupa lakshanam is it's made up of its structure, and they have to provide the chemical structure. Just as he said, H2O is a swarupa lakshanam of water. Water is H2O, H2O is water, both directly water is H2O, or conversely H2O is water is applicable, then only we call it a Swarupam. And in all objects there is no fundamental Swarupa Lakshanam, because they are made up of parts. It is H2, water is H2O is water, it's only combination of H2 and O, and H2 has its own properties different from water, and O has different properties from water, and in combination they are exhibiting the properties of the water, and therefore it's not even the Swarupam. No object, anything that is assembled has its Swarupam as intrinsic nature, but for convenience, for transactional purposes, for chemical means, defining H2O is water, and similarly all other chemical compounds when we know the structure. There are structures with the same chemical formula, and then we have to say these are the different types of the different names depending upon the arrangement, they have different properties also. All that is to be, and only one that has Swarupa Lakshanam is the Brahman, because that's only way the Brahman can be explained as it is Sat, Chit Ananda. Being Ananda is same as Anantam. It is Satchidananda or Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So Anantameva Anandam. Happiness is nothing but pure, limitless alone is happiness. And that's exactly why even in the deep sleep state, we don't find the limitations there. We are not aware of the limitations, because limitations come when there is a subject-object relationship comes into picture, because each object is different from the other object. Each object is limited, and I am also limited because I take myself, I am not the object, so I am limited by the object. Therefore, vastu kala parichinnatvam, and that's not there in the deep sleep state. Therefore, I am happy, but that happiness is not the real happiness. It's only reflected happiness, because the pure consciousness reflected now in the quietened mind, where mind is calm and quiet and folded, and therefore there are no agitations. Therefore, that is only a lack of the duality, a lack of suffering is what we call it, is a bliss in the deep sleep state. But the pure Satchidananda is its nature itself, is the Anandam. It's not a reflected Anandam, reflected happiness, in that we went through as the Ananda, the Maya Kosha, where there is the Priya, Moda, Pramoda, all degrees of Ananda, and we said there are hierarchy of degrees of different people have different Anandas, different lokas also, depending upon how much they have. So here, Nirantara Ananda Rasa Swarupam, its nature is intrinsically, its nature itself is Ananda. He cannot but be Ananda only. So Jnani is always Ananda Swarupam, because he has become Brahman, or he understood that I am Brahman. Therefore, it is unbroken, and even though the body may be suffering, the mind may be suffering, intellect is suffering, but he sees the body, mind and intellect suffering, and also knows this is only superficial. Reality is, I am the very support for it, and I am always pure. I do not undergo any modification to suffer. And that is why it is Nirantaram Anandarasam. It is Raso Vaisaha. That's how the Upanishad talks about. It is Ananda, pure Ananda, because it's unbroken, unqualified Ananda. It's not Ananda that you get by fulfilling a desire type. Therefore, I have no more desires, because I am Ananda Swarupam itself. Therefore, Krishna defines Sita Prajna. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan. Atmani eva atmanatushtaha. He is reveling in himself. Why do I revel in himself? Because the self that he revels is Anandarasam. It is Nirantara Anandarasam. That's why he revels in himself. In fact, that's the reason why I love myself also. In fact, the love for myself is because I am the source of happiness. I love anything only because it is anything brings me happiness. So Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Yajnavalkya teaches his wife Maitreyi, hey, my dear Maitreyi, know that no object, nobody loves the object for object sake. Nobody loves the wife doesn't love her husband for husband's sake. She loves her husband for her sake. Why? Because she thinks he brings happiness to her. Therefore, he loves her. Same way, husband loves the wife not because of her wife's sake, but for his own sake, because he wants happiness, and he thinks, because of the lack of clear understanding, that wife is bringing happiness to him. So therefore, what he loves is only Ananda, but Ananda is not outside. Ananda is coming from myself. So all my struggles, everybody, whether it's the Maitreyi or Yajnavalkya or any human being, is only, in fact all life forms, is only trying to get happiness only, and happiness is from their own self. So very struggle to live itself is going after for happiness, which is useless, because you will never get outside. It is from your own self. So Vedanta is trying to point out, you are Nirantara Anandarasa Swarupam. Your essential nature is unbroken happiness itself. Therefore, there is no point of the going. So what is the purpose of life is? Purpose of life is gaining happiness, but you are already happiness. Then there is no purpose in life. The purpose of life is to recognize that I am the source of happiness, and then from then on what happens? There is nothing else to do. You are beyond all that, and wherever you go, you give only Anandarasam to everybody else also. and that is the essence of Nirantara Ananda Rasaswarupam, and that is the nature of Brahman. Some more into the discussions, and the 240 of the Vivek Chudamani. Nirastamaya Kruta Sarva Bedham Nityam Dhruvam Nishkalam Aprabeyam Arupam Avyaktamanakyam Avyayam Jyotiswayam Kinchididam Chakasti Nirantamaya Kruta Sarva Bedham Nityam Dhruvam Nishkalam Aprabeyam Arupam Avyaktamanakyam Avyayam Jyotiswayam Kinchididam Chakasti. So reaffirming all that. Nirasta Maya Kruta Sarva Vedam. All differences of any kind are not there in the Brahman. They are appearance only. So it is Nirastam, devoid of Maya Kruta, the one that is made up of Maya, and Maya itself is Maya. Maya means Ya Ma Sa Maya. That which appears to be there, but is not really there. That itself is Maya, and it is, and that Maya Krutam, that which is made up because of the formed by the Maya, Krutam Sarvam, all Vedam, all differences of any kind, that is Sajati, Vidati, Swagata Veda, all differences are, it is Nirastam, they are devoid of, there is no difference of any kind there. So therefore it is the Brahman is that it doesn't have any of those internal or external or any of that type. Nityam Dhruvam, or in some text it is Nityam Sukham, both are okay. Nityam Dhruvam Nishkalam Aprameyam. So it is Nityam, firmly abiding, and Dhruvam is unchanging, and Nishkalam, without any kalam, without any parts, and Aprameyam, that is, cannot be known, it's not an object for knowledge. And Arupam, it is of the, it has no form because being infinite. Avyaktam, it is not a manifestation. It can manifest in different forms, appear to manifest in different forms, but itself is without any form. Therefore, it is not Avyaktam. Vyaktam is only imperceptible forms and names, and therefore unobjectifiable. That is what Vyaktam is. Anakyam and Avyayam. And Akyam is unknowable, that which cannot be the named. Any name goes with the form. So no name, even Advaita, even Brahman is only from the point of a jiva who is longing for. There no mind can go, navag gachati na manaha. So that which is essentially the mind and speech return back. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. So I cannot even describe or do anything, but only description is, it's not of this type, it's not of that type, and it is that what you are looking for eternally. All that description is only from the point of a seeker, so that he can uplift the mind in the direction and recognize that I am that totality itself. And the knowledge can take place because it is Swayam Jyotihi, and therefore Swayam Vibhutihi, therefore it reveals itself by itself. So Arupam Avyaktam Anakyam Avyayam Jyotis Swayam, it is Swayam Jyotihi, it shines by itself. So I don't need any means form of knowledge to know that I am there. So even in the pitch dark room, I know I am there because I am not, I didn't know light for me to know myself. This is the light of all lights, and that's what I said in terms of the Arati also. In the Garbhagriha, they took a Karpuram and then they put Arati, and as though we are seeing the Lord in the light of the Karpuram, but chanting Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoyam Agnihi. So neither this I need sunlight, nor a moonlight, nor a electricity light. Some Garbhagriha nowadays are putting electricity light. There is no electricity light. It is the lamp light that is installed during the Kumbhabhishekam. That is the one that should be there. And from that light only the Karpura Arati is taken. The light is burned. And in the light of the Karpuram, we are seeing the Lord and saying that Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati, because you are the light of all lights, and in your light only everything is shines. And I am able to see everything. That not only in the Garbhagudi, everywhere I see is because of the light of consciousness illumining everything else. Without that, will not have no knowledge of anything at all, and that has to be understood here. So Swayam Jyotihi. So it is self-revealing. Then why do I have to do anything? I had to do to remove the Ajnana Vritti, because I have a notion that I do not know. That notion can only be removed by Jnana Vritti. Therefore Vedanta, Srotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavya has to be done to remove the ignorance. And once you remove the ignorance, the sun shining is completely visible. The clouds are blocking the sun, and the clouds are assembled by the winds only. But I have to use the winds to remove the clouds, and when the clouds are revealed, then what should I do to see the sun? The sun will be self-revealing. It is Swayam Jyotihi. But even the sun shining is also, I know, because I am a conscious entity which illumines the even sun also. Because this is the light of all lights, called Jyotir Jyotihi, Swayam Jyotihi. And that is essentially, that is the real light, and that is the Swayam Jyotihi. And Kinchit idam chakasti. Kinchit idam chakasti. And idam, this whole thing cannot shine itself or cannot be known itself unless with that. And also they don't shine itself, whether it may be light or inert entity, luminous or non-luminous. I have to light it also, and I don't need any light for me to light it. I am self-lighting. So consciousness is self-revealing, and because there are some acharyas, even the Bhagavan Ramana says the consciousness or the two types. One is called the intrinsic consciousness, another is the extrinsic consciousness. We differentiate. It's called Dharmibhuta Jnanam and Dharmi Jnanam. So Dharmabhuta Jnanam and Dharmi Jnanam. Dharmi Jnanam is self-conscious, that is, I know myself. And what is the myself I know? In his case, the self that I am is only tiny one. So I know Anupramana self only. I know a little bit of myself as I am. But for Dharmabhuta Jnanam, I need invoke the consciousness to know the object. So whenever the object involved, the property of the consciousness has to be invoked to know the object. Therefore, for him, the Dharmabhuta Jnana has to be acquired, and that has to be expanded, and that's how you get the vision of the totality by becoming one with the totality or surrendering to the Lord, and you get the infinite Dharmabhuta Jnanam. Whatever the Lord is seeing, you can also see. Whatever the Lord is enjoying, you can also enjoy. Only thing you cannot do in the Vaikuntha is you cannot have the creative power, and Lord alone has the capacity to create. And you cannot give moksha to others. Lord alone gives moksha to others. Even Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva and other gods cannot have the right to give the moksha. Therefore they emphasize that Mamevaye prapajyante mayame tam tarandite. Only by surrendering to me you can cross the ocean of samsara, and that is what is to be included. So furthermore, on the Brahman aspect of the nature of Brahman, essentially summarizing the Ishvara Swarupam and Jnana Swarupam and what is Brahman, and slowly we get into the Mahavakya Vichara after that. We stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.